So hi, I'm Emma Lindley and I'm here with Brian Cleary, CEO of Fexco payUnite. Hi, Brian.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. Delighted to be here.
Good afternoon. Got a few questions for you, Brian.
Excellent. Well, that's why I'm here.
So tell me a bit about your role as the CEO of Fexco payUnite.
Well, Fexco payUnite is part of the Fexco group, and we're very much a global company. I think last year we processed over 40 billion volume in transactions. We've over 3,000 employees in the group, and that's growing every year through different activities of the organisation. I'm responsible for the payUnite business, which are our orchestration platform, which we can talk about later on in the discussion. But today we've got over 35% of the cruise industry from a payment orchestration perspective. So we're very, very proud of that. I suppose my role as CEO, I suppose I'm in the business just under 2 years now, and I suppose the first year was kind of understand, where we want to take the business. We've done a phenomenal job with cruise. So we spent the time there talking industry, fintech, what's the best way to grow our business, and we have a very clear strategy now in terms of where we want to get to. The other part of it, which is massively important to me, is building out a very ambitious team, a team that really wants to go and get after new business and protect the business that we have. So we're set for big expansion. We've done really well in cruise, and we're very determined to move into large retail, airlines, hospitality, and verticals like that across EMEA, across North America, where we feel we can make a big impact and a big dent on the business there.
It's a really big expansion plan.
Absolutely.
And then what trends in the payments industry are using, what are most exciting trends that you're seeing right now?
Well, I think if I look at the payments industry and most exciting trends, when I took a break from payments in 2022, just took a year off, went hiking mountains and stuff, that a bit like yourself. But then when I was looking at tenders, it was all around just big enterprise merchants looking for an acquirer, looking for a gateway to help them with their online transactions. That's massively changed in less than 3 years. The trends are that merchants are really tired of just having to deal with so many vendors, for fraud, for 3DS, for all the different APMs that are out there in the industry, and then having complex needs with multiple card acquirers and card processors at the back end of their business. So there's fatigue there. So what enterprise merchants are looking for now, and a real trend is, can we work with someone that's going to give us all of that, give us what their cardholders, their customers are looking for from a purchase perspective, and then from a merchant's perspective, please help us manage all the complexity that comes with having to deal with multiple processors, multiple product suppliers. There's fatigue there, and that's a real opportunity in terms of orchestration and in terms of that's a real trend what we see today.
So what I'm hearing you say is, you're bringing this together, orchestrating all of these different things, payments and also the fraud technology. But what does it actually mean for merchants?
So if I'd answer that in two ways. It's choice for a merchant, and it's choice for a cardholder who would be a customer of the merchant. So let's talk with the cardholder first. They go online. They might want a buy now, pay later feature. They might want to pay with Apple Pay, Google Pay, and things like that. So our platform, Fexco payUnite, provides that for the cardholder. Okay? And then it moves into the advantage to the merchant. So you're an enterprise merchant, you could be dealing, cruise is a good example. You could have the need to, from a credit risk perspective, have to have 4 or 5 different acquirers. In the past, the merchant would have had to deal directly with acquirer A, acquirer B, acquirer C, acquirer D. Now what they have with our platform is Fexco payUnite, managing all those relationships on behalf of the merchant from a card processing perspective, pushing the transactions through in terms of what the merchant is looking for. So for example, simple example, if a merchant is doing 100 billion in volume, they might want to put 50 billion through acquirer A and the other 50 billion through the other 3 acquirers. That's what we facilitate, and that's a big advantage for the merchant. The other advantages are as well, we provide fraud technology. I've already mentioned 3DS, all the APMs you can think of, and that's kind of the real advantage of an orchestration. That's what payUnite brings.
Okay, that's really interesting. So you're helping merchants navigate this increasingly complex landscape where they've got different payment mechanisms, different payment providers, but also different fraud. threat vectors that they might be facing in different.
Well, they're looking for different types of products that they can give to their cardholders. The ones I mentioned, all the Apple Pay, Google Pay, and all the rest. But so many more. You know, if you're going to localize areas, there could be card schemes that aren't really common in Europe, but they're common in Asia or common in North America. We're facilitating those transactions by doing integrations with those local card schemes that a merchant would find very difficult to do on their own. And that's what the merchants, when we talk to them, we go in on a solution basis, tell us what your needs are, where's the complexity, show it to us, and we can pick it out and we provide those services to them.
And what's your view on collaboration in the payments ecosystem with things like fintechs, banks, and platforms?
Yeah, we all need to be mature about this. I've always said this. I'm in payments a long time now. There's co-opetition there. So this week we could be working with a partner, a fintech, to support the merchants' needs in North America, and next week we could be competing with that same fintech for a piece of business that's in Europe. So the card flow, the card payment, the card capture flow from a cardholder all the way through to it being processed and approved and all the rest needs multiple partners. Obviously needs the card schemes, the Visas, the MasterCards and all the rest. It needs card acquirers, but it also needs fintechs and ISVs. ISVs, for example, are part of the fintech community. So independent software vendors who provide really good technology in whatever vertical they're operating in that allows the merchant capture transactions. So we've got to be facilitative of those ISVs. So you work with an ISV this week for a particular merchant. The next week he could be competing with the same ISV on another continent. So I've always been of the basis, let's be very mature around competition. Let's just work, everyone needs to work together. And if you're putting the customer, the merchant in the middle of the discussion, you shouldn't go far enough.
Yeah, so you're trying to build a solution that is the best solution for them, exactly. However you go about doing that. And then what makes payUnite's approach to acquiring and partnerships different?
Yeah, I suppose the biggest thing that I've seen since I've come to Fexco, and we would have spent a lot of time last year talking to fintech who wanted to partner with us. The biggest thing we have is massive independence. Fexco was around over 40 years. We have a very strong balance sheet. We're very well known in payments. We have a global brand, as I said, over 3,000 employees. That independence is a real selling point for merchants. Okay, and from a fintech perspective, partners perspective, we've got a distribution platform. We've got feet on the street in so many continents, so many countries, and that's a real asset for us. And fintech want to work with us because they like to build technology. They're very good at it, but they've known to distribute it for them. So the merchant sees us having an independent view of a landscape for them. And we've lots of good examples of that today in the cruise sector and indeed in our other businesses across the globe. Now, from a fintech and partner perspective, they see our brand strength, they see our distribution strength, they see, we can get our product out quicker by working with Fexco.
So you've got like that really big footprint, and then you're enabling these fintechs to kind of almost like bring their innovation and take new things.
That's it. We have lots of conversation with fintech in terms of how can we work together to provide more products to this merchant's needs, and their doors are always open to Fexco, which is fantastic for us. Mm-hmm. The other thing I say as well is that it's really impressed me since I joined Fexco. We're very good at dealing with merchants, and we're very, very good at dealing with partners from an integration perspective. When we say it's going to be a 6-week integration, it's a 6-week integration, and it's done. And our APIs are very modern. Our partners like them, our merchants like them. So we kind of deliver what we say, and that's a big, big thing for a merchant entity. If you think of fintech and a partner, they don't have unlimited resource. Nobody has. They've only got, and they're probably outsourcing their development work. So you've got to be ready and on time for them, because it's costing them money if you're not ready and not supporting the integration effort from a fintech and partnership perspective. So we do that really well.
Amazing. And you said there's some examples that you could share in the cruise industry. So can you share a recent success with us, just to explain payUnite's growth and the impact that it's had?
So let me tell you where it started. It started with Norwegian Cruise Lines many years ago, 8-9 years ago. Norwegian Cruise Line had a specific need. How can they capture payments on their ships? It was clunky, it was difficult, it was all those different things. I could spend hours talking about it. But essentially, Fexco went in, could work out what the need was from a technology perspective and delivered it for them. So if you go onto a Norwegian Cruise Line ship today, I was on one recently, it's all iPad based, it's all CPaaS based, you just tap, tap, tap. We're connected. We did really clever integrations with the ISVs who were providing that technology on board the ship, and we were processing payments offline or online, whatever the merchant needed. And then when the passengers were left the ship 2 days later, everything was processed. That was a real niche. They could not solve that themselves. They had all their great IT people on it. They could not solve that piece, but we solved it. We solved it for them. And then we built on that. We built this at 35% market share plus. And last year we won that as a merchant. That's a global brand. Everyone knows who they are. What we wanted to do was to enhance and improve their passenger experience. And payments was a massive part of that. So we got to talk to them, we got to meet them. And essentially we're taking all their internal payment network. It's coming over to Fexco. And we're processing all that for them, managing the partnerships, managing all the acquirers, helping them with their front end in terms of their hosted payment page and all that type of good stuff. So it's very broad of what we're doing, but it's not going in just to, oh, you have a problem with payments, we want to know everything. They had a strategic need and we bolted onto what that was, and we won that business last year.
And really improved the way that they could take payments.
Well, they now describe us as being a lifelong strategic partner, and we're only with them 12 months. And that's probably the biggest endorsement we can get from anybody. But we are seen as their strategic payments partner because we're solving for them all the time. They're coming with needs, and we're, what happens here, what happens there. For example, everyone wants to, enhance and go into China, for example. So we're helping them. How do they expand into China, accept card payments in China and around its borders, and we're helping them with that.
Yeah, and that's obviously a really complex thing that they need to do. So sounds like having a huge impact. What advice would you give to businesses looking to scale their payments globally?
I think the first thing I'd say is scale for growth. If you're whatever your business strategy is, and if you're in Europe and you want to expand to North America, I'd say scale for growth, and that'd be so important. And get a partner that will help you do that. I mean, the other piece that we picked up when we were talking about this is local matters. I mean, what card schemes that are in North America and Europe could be quite common, but could be very different in Africa. So it's to try and understand that if you want to expand. I had a conversation earlier on today with a card processor, and they're struggling to expand into Africa. So understanding how our card payments processed in not usual geographies, for example, that's so important. I suppose it's not just about building for coverage, but build for complexity. So we help with the complexity. If you're going on the road of scaling, you want to go broader or bigger, we'll help with the complexity. So that's what merchants should do is build for complexity, get the right partners in to help you. At the end of the day, grow your business by enabling their customers, the card holder, use any card that they want, have the value-added services in between, and then to help the merchant then make sure it's a safe and secure transaction, it's meeting legislative requirements, it's not a fraudulent transaction, and then at the back end is that helping them optimize their costs with the card processes or interchange optimization, or just manage their credit and fraud risk with all the different acquirers that they have.
And getting them to focus on their core business rather than having to focus on payments, taking all that complexity away and simplifying it for them.
We've seen it, and we're having lots of conversations today in the other verticals and continue with cruise. And many times the use case is there's a very complex in-house system to manage payments and treasury. And it's just costing them too much. It's costing them too much in terms of maintenance from an IT perspective, too many people to gather the data out of it. We didn't even talk about data in this discussion. We've got a fantastic data engine that drives very simple, easily understood settlement numbers and figures and analysis, and they're looking for help there as well. But that's where we see we have a big role to play in terms of just managing all that for a merchant. And it's, as I said, when I took a break in 2022, it was really an acquirer and a gateway. It's much more than that now, and that's where we're ideally suited to kick on, as I said, from not just the cruise industry, but all the other ones that we're chasing very actively at the moment.
That sounds really exciting. So, Brian, thank you so much for sharing some time with me here at Payment Leaders Summit 2025. And I look forward to catching up with you later on today.
Many thanks. Thank you.
Thanks.